because of your personalities or past relationships, you know, like the dog stayed on a while, that he could have said no. I mean, there's potential for disaster in the not doing this. So, I mean, this could, not doing this, instead of, this says it could be 34 grand more, it could be like 334 grand more, or worse. Like you said, hauling guys to the emergency room every time they see that, whatever. So, sorry, I just wanted to, before I forgot my train of thought, turn it over to you.
Last year's overages over these $10,000 limits and the air ambulance and stuff, do you have a figure on that?
On the top there, Tom, of the spreadsheet on the last page.
I saw that.
So the jail hospital overview, so you can see Banner. We paid them 302, and even if we had CFMG, we'd still be into them for about 48. Now, I didn't go back and deduct where we would gain some back from ACA, just because that money hasn't started to flow. So just trying to make an apple for apple.
Well, yeah, okay.
It would have been about 48 there. It would have been about 18 to Renown. It would have been about 9,400 to the med flight and 15 for the life flight. That was how those numbers penciled.
And you mentioned the process of rejecting cleared. What is that process?
I'm sorry?
So you have an inmate come in and you go through the process of rejecting, and if he's cleared to book, you book him, but if you reject him, what happens?
Correct. So 4015 of the California Penal Code gives us the authority to reject anyone who's in immediate need of medical care.
Okay.
So we make an assessment if they're in immediate need, and that might be as simple as somebody who can't walk under their own power because they're that intoxicated. It could be somebody who just got in a car wreck at the end of a pursuit. We can say, stop, you are rejected. They have to be sent up to the hospital and be medically cleared before we'll accept them.
Cared and treated if they need it, and oftentimes.
Cared and treated with an officer with them,
It's
obviously.
the arresting officer, and it's the person themselves, it's their responsibility to cover the cost of any treatment, until we accept
So you
it.
didn't just cut them loose and?
No.
Okay.
No, we reject, they stay in the custody of the arresting officer, whether it's our arrestee, CHP, Susanville PD, they go, they get cleared, and
I
they're
assumed that, but I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, CHP was chasing a guy right out here last night. You know, if he had a wreck and he was hurt, you wouldn't accept him until he was fixed.
We rejected one of theirs yesterday, who come in with a blood alcohol content of like 0.32. So they got rejected, they'll get cleared. When they're cleared at the hospital, they can come in. Not the guy they were chasing, fortunately.
Well, I'd like to make the motion to accept option one, to have the CAO sign and begin formal negotiations for the multi-year contract with CFMG.
Okay. Now we'll have some more board discussion, then we'll go to public comment, and then we'll come back to it.
So, you know, if you get your contract and start contracting out more beds, you get another wing open and whatnot, is that going to change this contract at all? We'll have to come back and amend it if you get, I don't know, say 50 more people in?
Correct, and we put all that in the RFP, that we have this, you know, the mothballed section that used to be the CCF, and that there is an option that this may allow us to start contracting some beds. So the rate that CFMG quoted us was based on, you know, our current average daily population. And there's some float in there for our own folks. But if we're going to open that up, then we would just simply meet with them and start negotiating what it would take, what it would add to the cost if we added, whether it be 10 or 20 or, we'd have to add a certain amount, Aaron, before it would actually make sense for us to add the bodies that it would take to staff that into the building. So we'd build all of that right into the contract rate at the time.
Which is gonna make your life a lot easier. Having this, you'll know what you're gonna go for. Another question is you talk about labs and x-rays and et cetera, the EKG, that's gonna be done on site. Are they gonna come in and they're gonna have the x-ray equipment and the lab equipment, or? do you
So
verify that?
in the proposal, they talk about using these mobile lab services that come. And we haven't talked with them officially about whether they'll try and get, I just don't know that we have the room for an x-ray machine in our clinic, or if they're going to have to bring that in like a mobile, one of those traveling labs that's coming.
Okay.
There is a representative from CFMG here.
And then my last question is on the back page, you know, you did a very good job of breakdown, but the other thing you didn't put in there is the savings of your staff time of what your correctional officers are doing now, that these guys are taking over, you're gonna have quite a bit of a savings right there that isn't necessarily accounted for, and of course, it'd be hard to quantify. but-
It would be hard to quantify, just, I mean, just the simple things like trying to make follow-up appointments. How much time the supervisors spend
It's
trying
gonna take a lot
to,
of stress off of your staff. I mean, it's gonna be huge.
and it'll help them focus on the true custody function of their job, of working, you know, not having to be part-time custody, part-time medical. They will be able to, you know, focus more time to the custody side, which is a huge bonus, but you're right, impossible to quantify.
We better quit talking it up so much, otherwise the guy's gonna think you underquoted.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, what we'd ask for is, one, that the CAO, that we can start working on negotiating a contract, but two, that we be also allowed to talk about short-term extensions as necessary with the current group, because as we swing into Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the first of the year, we're gonna work hard, but we can't say today that we would be able to put boots on the ground here January 1. So we also talked about trying to work with the CAO to negotiate whatever short-term extensions are appropriate to try and make sure we have sufficient transition time for a smooth transition as they phase out and CFMG transitions in.
Did your motion include that?
No, yeah.
Well,
Is Dr. Mills
but you already.
gonna do that?
I need to negotiate that.
Okay, so, all right.
Well, we have a motion and a second, but I think you want to just restate it, just for clarification. Did it include 1, 2, and 3? I didn't.
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay, because number motion, the third part addresses what you said.
Oh, okay, yeah, I make a motion for, 1, 2, and 3, and, bids for the, medical, for the jail.
And item D4.
And D4.
So who's the second?
Bob, second. Bob.
Okay, is there any more board discussion?
No, I think John did an excellent job covering it. It's been an issue that's been kind of out there for quite a while, and I'm glad to see a resolution. It sounds like this company has established a good track record in the North State. I mean, both Shasta and you, that they are giving you that kind of feedback. Those are probably your two biggest testers of the system, so.
So it'd be nice, you said the representative's here from CMFG, if he could just introduce himself and give a quick face to the company.
Hi, my name's Dan Husted. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer of CFMG. We were founded in 1984 by myself, my wife, and Dr. Fithian. And so we've been operating the program since that time, and we're in 27 counties in California. I think the undersheriff made an excellent presentation today covering all the key points. There's challenges to every facility. It'll be difficult up here because of the labor market and because of the high salaries of the nurses in the state presentation that we'll have to compete with. But I think we're prepared to do that. We have a lot of experience in trying to do these things. It's always humbling because it's a difficult job to do, and every place is different, so we'll try to do our best to meet your needs and meet the sheriff's needs and probation's needs and do the best we can. You had discussed a little bit about the new facility, and that would be additional cost to do that, but I think with what the undersheriff has asked for and what we've bid on, you've got part of the way there, where you wouldn't have to make as big a leap as you would otherwise. So, if you have any other questions, I'd be welcome to answer those.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome, yeah.
Thank you.
Forward to the relationship.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Is there any public comment before we take action on this item? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you, guys. Thank you, John, for your work. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. All right, let's take up item D5 for 11:30 time certain.
Mr. Chairman, what we have in front of you today is an agreement with CAL FIRE to provide the Office of Emergency Services, which through Mr. Ewing, he's here today as well, to address the board. The only significant distinction between this contract and the contract we've had in the past is that we propose a 2-year agreement this time, simply to avoid the cost of the annual contracting process. And I'll let Mr. Ewing address the details of the contract and recommending that we approve it.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Mr. Egan pretty much spelled it out exactly, truth of the matter. Essentially, it's the same contract we had currently in place as the one we had before, for 2 years, so the numbers, of course, are higher. The main reason for me pushing with for 2 years this time is the amount of time I put in preparing this contract is pretty significant, and I feel at least my time's better served doing the work I'm hired to do as opposed to doing state administrative work. This contract, I started working on this in April, so it kind of gives you an idea of the time frames. And it doesn't matter whether it's a 2-year, 3-year, or a 1-year, that time frame is still pretty static. So basically what you're looking at, just for points of clarification, the amounts there, as previous, are the highest allowable. It's not the actual contract amount, so it's a not to exceed amount. The actuals are what the county's bill for actual amount, not for the actual contract amount. The contract is reimbursed through the EMPG grant funds, which we've been awarded again this year. And that's going to be $132,000 again this year. It was $131,800 last year, so it kind of hovers around $132,000 each year. We're anticipating that to be here next year as well. So with that, I mean, that's really the basics of the numbers. I mean, I can sit and talk numbers all day long, but they're in front of you, both on the fiscal sheet as well as the base page, the fiscal sheet being page 17. I'm sorry, 18 and 19 of the contract. So are there any questions in regards to the actual technical parts of the contract?
Yeah, thanks, I think it's a good idea, plus you don't want to be a free agent every 12 months.
This is
I don't know my
a
standard.
maximum amount, and I think the historic experience, one year that Dave was there, we've always wanted to process less than it's based upon what the needs are. This kind of projects a potential need, but if it's, the needs don't arise and you don't have to do the work, then you don't have to pay the cost, and I think that's a good feature of the contract. Of course, if we were to exceed this, because of whatever the demand is, obviously, we have to be prepared to pay for that extra as well.
And that would trigger an amendment, and I'd be back here looking for an approval and amendment for the difference of that.
We
We'll
have,
settle that, but-
unfortunately, we haven't had the need to go in that direction, and I really appreciate the work that CAL FIRE has done in serving this need here.
We haven't even come close to
I
this
know.
max. We're probably hovering between 40 to 50,000 under it. So it's pretty easy to stay steady for the lease for the contract.
Are there any other questions?
I asked this question last year, whatever it was, and I've since forgotten. In Exhibit D, Schedule C, you have all the list of assets. There's 4 trailers, 4 guns, 4 vehicles, there's only one computer, one sheriff, and why do we have to have all the vehicles, trailers, and guns?
Well, the guns, Mr. Chapman asked this last year about the guns, why I had
forgot, so you
weapons.
gotta be refreshed, please.
Those were, I don't know all the history as far as how or why they're in my possession, but they were part of an OES budget prior to a CAL FIRE contract, so they stayed with that position. Now, as
Chip
far as
Jackson had it, he kind of had it as maybe reflecting.
Now, I've been in discussion with the sheriff about getting those transferred back to him, because they're not in the state's name, they're in the county's name, so they should be back with them in their lockup. We haven't had a chance to actually do the transfer yet, physical transfer, so they're still with us in our lockup at the CAL FIRE headquarters. Now, the other equipment, the vehicle I drive, the trailers that we have, the whole list of things that came with the position when Chip retired and the CAL FIRE contract took place. So those are items that I maintain and keep track of underneath this contract.
And how about the ammunition for the guns? Because those are usually the most valuable things on the asset.
I can speak to that. No, I don't think there's anything in there, to be honest with you.
a surplus there.
Yeah.
Dave, did you have a comment?
Mr.
Chairman, board members, Dave Janet, CAL FIRE, Lassen Plymouth Unit. On the inventory, those are items that were purchased with that same grant that Eric is funded by. So those are things that had to stay under the OES hat, although those items are utilized in the operational area and for the operational area. But when the job was transferred over to CAL FIRE in the contract, that came on the inventory. Those items will remain on the inventory until, one, either out of service, or two, transferred to another county entity. But they were purchased by grant money for the operational area, which is Lassen County. So Eric has them on his inventory. Some of the items are in his office. Other items are shared through public health and the sheriff department, but they were purchased through the EMPG grant. So therefore, they're on Eric's inventory. That's part of that. And the guns we are trying to transfer over to the sheriff. Chip, the person that had the job before me, was a certified peace officer. Eric and myself aren't. Those guns are in the gun safe for our prevention bureau, and we've been working. We just haven't had a high priority to get those guns moved over to Dean, but they will be moved over there because one, they may be able to be utilized by the county, but they cannot be utilized by Eric or myself. So.
And now this is likely to grow as far as inventory because we're purchasing equipment every year on grant dollars, whether it's Homeland Security, not so much EMPG anymore, but radio equipment, et cetera, and that go on and on and on, things we're trying to do between the sheriff and public health and myself. So it'll probably get longer.
And it's prudent to keep track of all that.
Oh, yeah. And it's hard, trust me. It's,
I like the two-year format, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments by the board, and then we'll go to the public? Okay, is there any public comment on this item?
Mr. Chairman, board members, not public comment, but on behalf of CAL FIRE, we thank you for the opportunity that you've given CAL FIRE so far to this point. I think it's created a better, not that we didn't have a good, but a better working relationship between the county, the city, and CAL FIRE through the OES position falling where it falls now. I think that the dialogue is very open. I think resources and personnel are exchanged a lot easier. And I think it's a better fit for the taxpayers. They get a better bang for their buck, so to speak, and that's what we're here for, is to deliver a service the best we can to the taxpayers. So thank you on behalf of CAL FIRE.
One more thing, I'd like to thank Eric and thank Dave both. You know, anytime that there's something going on, you know, especially with the bonfire up there and whatnot, you know, they've always called me and let me know what's going on, and I greatly appreciate that, and thank you.
Dave did such a good job. You inherited a program that we can't say no to, so.
Good work.
I'd make a motion. Resolution to approve agreement and authorize the chairman to sign.
I'll second it. And I have to say, you know, Eric has been involved in this game before that, working with the rest of our, kind of coordinating all the emergency first responders and the recent disaster preparedness summit that was held without the vets all was widely attended. One thing I have to say, if we do indeed have to face any sort of a disaster or emergency, I feel a lot more comfortable and confident that the ability for the community to respond, you know, is greatly enhanced, and it's enhanced through programs like this and partnerships like this. So I think we should not underestimate the value of that. And this is just one piece of many pieces in that puzzle, and the fact that they can talk and work and cooperate and coordinate, I think, you know, if indeed we are challenged as a community, that we're in much better shape than we are, let's say, than we were 20 years ago.
keep pushing forward.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. That was Dave.
On a side note, we are having issues on the Eagle Lake Station well. It's not dry yet. We're having significant lowered water levels. We've had to restrict the pump and put a supply tank in, so the pump can only pump so long, because if we allowed it to pump freely, it does suck that well dry. So we are having trouble with that Eagle Lake Station well. And the Fire Safe Council is working on some projects on Diamond Mountain. If we could do that in conjunction with the Plumas and the Lassen National Forest, that will be great. But that is a high priority on both the CAL FIRE side and the Lassen Fire Safe
We
Council.
try to encourage Mr. Hayes to
Yeah.
You need to,
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna take up item H5, or Veterans Services Office.
Good morning again, Melody Brawley, Health and Social Services, and I was asked some months ago to get the Veteran Service Officer here, Todd Connor. I think most of you already know him.
Howdy.
He's a busy guy. It took me a while to get him here, but he's here. He's going to talk a little bit about all the stuff that's going on at the Veterans Office, and then I'm just going to give you a quick update on the funding and go from there.
Supervisors. My name is Todd Connor, Veteran Service Officer. Also in attendance is Veteran Service Representatives Mike Stark and Samantha G, who both work at the office, and also Commander of the VFW and Vice Commander of the American Legion. I'm here to give some information on some of the services that we provide to our veterans. I've given a handout to all of you that Mike and my staff had, myself and my staff had put together. Kind of gives a breakdown on compensation that we pay, to include disability compensation. The veteran population is nearly 4,000, roughly 10% of the entire population, which is one of the highest per capita in the state. Just give you an idea of one of the main service-connected disabilities that we deal with as related to our Vietnam era veterans. They're exposed to a toxic chemical called Agent Orange, dioxin. The U.S. has sprayed nearly 20 million gallons in an effort to kill vegetation in Vietnam. It's later been found that the exposure to Agent Orange dioxin has been found to be a result of several different cancers and diseases, include diabetes, ischemic heart disease, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, different sarcomas. And so some of these veterans who had served in country in Vietnam are now developing some of these conditions. Our job is to sit down with the veteran, collect and gather all medical records. If they're diagnosed with a heart disease or diabetes, we collect all those records and we send them into VA for evaluation. The medical staff team there at the VA hospital review it and make a determination of service connection based off of a 0 to 100% scale. Just depending on the severity of the illness or the disease, they'll pay accordingly to the scale. I listed that in the effects and services handout. Out of the 4,000 veterans that we serve, 488 veterans within the county are receiving disability compensation, in the amount of $4.8 million annually. Has a breakdown from 10 to 100%, what the monthly payout is, and how many veterans are receiving per or each disability rating, and then the payout per month for those veterans. We also have been experiencing a lot of services to outlying counties, to include Plumas and Modoc. Plumas County has roughly 2,000 veterans. Modoc County has roughly 900. Their disability compensation payouts is $3.45 million annually for Plumas, $1.8 million annually for Modoc. Now, how much of that do we contribute to that county? I'd be speculating if I gave you a number, but we do contribute to those figures as well. The reason why the veterans are traveling to our area mainly is because of the new VA clinic here in town. The other counties, the other surrounding counties don't have that health care access. So they come to us while they're here and stop at our office and see if they qualify for any other benefits. We had recently started a veteran ID program, a few months in the making. We've issued about 130 cards so far. Been rather successful. It allows veterans to access benefits from local vendors. Business offers a 10% discount to veterans. They're able to show that their veteran receive those benefits. It also brings the veterans into our office, and when they're there, we're able to sit down, provide them information about the array of benefits that are available to our veterans. Another benefit that we help veterans receive is what's called a veteran's pension. Many people would think that that's a retirement or some type of retirement annuity. It's not. It's for low-income veterans who make less than the federal poverty level set by Congress. It's approximately $12,500. Veteran falls below that. VA will help them reimburse them to get up to that level, that poverty level, so they could maintain their bills. And there's also a pension that's attached to, or there's also a benefit attached to the pension, which is called aid and attendance. The veteran has a disability and needs aid and assistance of someone with their daily needs, include help going to the bathroom, taking a shower, taking a bath. The VA will help pay that veteran to hire someone to provide those services. As I was saying before, a lot of veterans are coming to our area to receive VA healthcare services. The local Susanville clinic, I was unable to get the actual data from them, but I had a conversation with the main doctor there, and according to his information, they're treating 1,000 veterans, which is rather significant. Other services that we provide or that we help veterans receive is transportation. If they need a specialty treatment at the VA hospital in Reno, we coordinate with the van and get them right out there. Kind of a newer program that we recently started and help in conjunction with behavioral health. It's called a veteran peer program. We hired 4 veterans from the community, and we train them side by side with behavioral health specialists, staff, to be able to provide sit-down counseling sessions with veterans who are returning back from Iraq and Afghanistan, with, let's say, PTSD or TBI. And we were able to sit down with them, talk to them, and enroll them in any benefits that they could receive. It's been successful. Some of the education benefits. One education benefit is called the college fee waiver. It waives the dependence of a disabled veteran to attend any state university or any college within the United States, or excuse me, California. If the veteran has a service-connected disability and they want their child to go to UC Davis, their fees would be waived. So that's one of the main benefits that we work. We actually have a student, a Lassen County veteran, sending his son to UC Davis. And we all know that college is rather expensive. Burial benefits is something that we work alongside VFW and the American Legion. We actually just had 2 services on Saturday. We put together an honor guard. We do 21 gun salute. We present the flag, and we play the taps. We share the same building as VFW and the American Legion, so we're able to communicate. Veteran needs a few extra dollars. Struggling VFW, excuse me, the VFW and the American Legion have kind of like an emergency pot where they could help a veteran out in need. We recently started a social media site on Facebook. It gives us an opportunity to share some community events that related to veterans, put pictures up. We have 528 likes. If you all would like, if you all have a Facebook account, you're more than welcome to look us up and to like us. There's some pretty good information on there. Some of our goals, if you